Feeling. My name is Rory. I am your witchy weather human today. Let's get my banners up. Hey Neva, how you doing? So, once a month, usually the last Saturday of the month, I go live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with 1 hour of card readings for anyone I can fit into the hour. I am reading today with the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Wisner, which I love a whole lot. I just bought it recently and have fallen in love with it. For realsies, for realsies. Yes, got some cats in the chat. Hey Ondine, how are you? So if you're a regular on the Witchy Weather Report, you know that the way to get a card pull for yourself is to drop a cat in the chat. That is our secret code. Good meowing. You can either put a cat emoji in there or you can write meow. That's a lot of cats. And I will get to everyone in the order they were received. Feel free to throw a question in there if you have a question, and otherwise I will just pull you a general card. I will start by pulling us all a card for the coming month of August, which will be my birthday month, so obviously a really great time to be alive. First, however, I'm going to go to the stream on Facebook and limit the comments so that we do not have spammers, because that is a thing that we have gotten lately. I choose to look at it as a sign of success. It's like, oh, there's people spamming. Like I'm visible enough for people to spam. That's, it really could be worse. All right. Just making sure you see them. Thank you. I am well. How are you? Not gonna lie, I'm a little sleepy. I'm a musician, so I tend to get up kind of late. And 11 a.m. is like, well, it's not a super early start time, but it would be an early start time if I had to leave my house. I'm glad that I don't. So, while I am shuffling, why don't I have everyone give me the answer to these 3 questions. Number 1, where are you tuned in from today? I am broadcasting from Sound Beach, New York. I'm trying to edit the comments on this. Number 2, what you sipping on this morning? I've just got water. Number 3, how are you feeling? I want the real answer, not the polite answer. You a general card. Yep. I will start by... That's my computer making noise. All I want to do is make the comments. Yes, there we go. So I learned that there's a trick on Facebook where you can set the commenters to only be established followers, and that has really helped with spam because we've gotten some spammers in recent months. Okay, now we're good. All right, tune in from West Sayville. Coffee, always and forever coffee. 4 a.m., coffee. 2:45 p.m., coffee. Also sleepy, but the kids were very awake. I'm sorry. Onion says, can't wait for this heat to break. Yes, I feel you in a big way. It is making me sleepy too. Yeah, it's been a little bit, like it's been a little much. It's like, must we? Must we? All right, I see I've got some comments on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Good morning, Savannah. How are you? Ooh, I love this title. Savannah Tillett, Sovereign Alignment. Are you starting a thing, Savannah? Tell us about this. I'm excited. Good morning. Thank you for those Kaylee emojis. Good meowing. Tuning in with my cup of coffee in Babylon. Tired, been in and out of sleep since 5 a.m. Yeah, feel that. That is a thing about this heat wave. I can't sleep well in the heat. And, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Tune in from West Babylon. Oat milk cappuccino. Ooh, actually doing good today so far. That's delightful. My living room and ain't nothing to fuck with my coffee. I love that. Finding my footing. Tune in from the Pacific Northwest. About to make some coffee. Yes, we're having a very caffeinated morning, and I'm very here for it. Dare I say a caffeinated morning. All right, let me pull a card for everyone before I start making more puns. This card is advice for all of us to kind of tap into what's going on over the next few weeks and match our energy in a way that is productive for us. So we have justice. Let's talk about justice. We have light and dark. We have this constellation. We have this knife that is just like, yeah, this cuts right through. This is the truth. Justice, nevertheless, it's subjective, right? What is justice to you? I think we all have different focuses, probably from our different life experiences. I'm going to ask you this month what it looks like for you to show up for justice in your life, to be a foot soldier of justice, to be the person doing the right thing if you see that there is a right thing that needs to be done. What does that feel like for you? That might feel like showing up for justice for yourself, right? Standing up for yourself in the face of people who are giving you a hard time or not treating you fairly. It might look like justice for another, standing up for another in the face of those same things. It might also look like showing up like in a larger way for justice, like showing up for justice for our planet by doing the things that will help our Earth stay around a little longer and be a supportive place to live for a little longer. And it might look like showing up for social justice or showing up for justice by having uncomfortable conversations with people when you hear them spouting nonsense, or saying things that are just a little bit, just a little bit not cool. But no one that they're talking about is around, so they think they can say it. And you might be the person to be like, hey, that's not cool, even when no one is around to hear that. What does it look like to you? What does it look like to you to show up for justice in your life? That's what we are being asked to do. So it's a good time to reflect on that. What does fairness mean to you? What does it look like to be sure that you are being a purveyor of fairness and you're showing up for it? These are our questions in the coming months. Hey, Celia, how are you? Ooh, Savannah, yes, I'm starting a business. Right now it's just a baby seed idea. Everyone, look at that. If you're not on Instagram, I'm going to say it out loud to you, so don't worry. But Savannah's tuned in from YouTube. Savannah Tillett, Sovereign Alignment. Search that on YouTube and go follow it. Because whatever Savannah is starting, you really want in. Savannah has such incredible energy. Every time she shows up at the Witchy Weather Report, I'm grateful. Every time she's in the Patreon Discord, I'm grateful. You want that energy in your life. So just sign up so you know what's going on. Your eyebrows are just so good. It's all accidental. But I think I cut my bangs a little shorter than usual out of also laziness. Because I just didn't want to have to cut my bangs again real soon. And I think it like shows off the eyebrows a little. So, oops. Your eyebrows are pretty good too, my sister. Recognizing in recent years to bring justice for myself rather than just raging on others on behalf of the face of unfairness. I like that, yes. Don't have anything on the YouTube yet. I'm telling people to follow you prematurely, whatever. If you have a better link for people to follow you, tell me. Because I just, I am excited. I'm excited about whatever you're doing, and I think people want it. I'm people, and I want it. But the pointy Grandma Emma brows are fire. They are pointy Grandma Emma brows. Yeah, I like being a little pointy. Just a little pointy. Okay. That is our card for the month. We're going to go in and see if there are any... yay, happy accidents. Exactly. We're going to go in and see if there are any patron requests for a card. I know Lisa Diana requested a card. And from there, we're going to just go in order. So if you're a patron, you always get a guaranteed card pull. And if you ask ahead of time, I will pull your card early. Otherwise, I'll get to you in the flow of the show, but I always make sure I get to patrons. Everyone else, you try your luck for the hour. That's just a benefit. Patrons support me financially. I'm grateful, and I want to support them back. Okay, so first of all, we have from Lisa Diana. Card, please. What can I do to get myself back on track with foods? I'm 10 pounds over my surgery goal. So I'm going to do very much a mindset kind of card here, because of course, The tarot cards are not a doctor, so they're not good for medical advice, but they can be very good for like how you should approach this advice. So let's do that. Yeah. Lisa Diana, here is your card. Your card is also Justice. Y'all saw me shuffling. And I always pull a card from the middle. Okay, so we want to talk about justice here, and I think this means you being fair to yourself in every possible sense of the word. So this means fairness to yourself in terms of, yes, you're showing up for your health. That includes your mental health. So as you navigate this journey with your food, you should be working to do so in a way that feels fair and right to you. Not the kind of thing that feels like you are kind of out of balance with what is going to take care of your body, or out of balance with what is taking care of your mental health. So it's not time to go on like a crazy intense restrictive period. What you really want to show up for with your body the most, and ask yourself how you can be fair to yourself minute to minute, day to day. And that might be actually a helpful way to frame it, because I think we can make very emotional choices about this stuff, and I'm not even saying that's wrong, you know what I mean? Like taking care of my body is definitely sometimes more of an emotional choice for me than like a logical choice. And so I'm going to ask you to take a step back and just ask, what's the best way to be fair and good to my body and to my mental health today? And just ask yourself that question and allow that to be the driving force for you, rather than like any kind of move that is born out of panic. You know, just ask yourself how you can treat yourself fairly today, and allow that to be the thing that moves you forward and a thing you can check in with throughout the day. And the answer might be different day to day, hour to hour, right? That's why we check in regularly. All right, next up we have Brittany, then Grayson, then Savannah, and then I'm not seeing your Discord name. I think it's Kevin Murphy, but if it's not, please tell me. Would love a card for general advice for the next month. Just popped up in the Discord. So please tell me if I have that right or if I have that wrong, if you're watching. Okay. Brittany, would like a card, please. No specific request. Then Grayson, then Savannah, then I think, like I said, I think it's Kevin Murphy. Your Discord name just says I ... So maybe I'm wrong about that. I ... This card will be for you. But first, Brittany. Brittany, here is your card. Your card is the 5 of Swords. It is time to rise above whatever nonsense power struggles you are experiencing, or perhaps have experienced in the past. We have these 5 swords, like casting this dark shadow here on the ground. And then we have this one sword of truth with these butterflies above it. But it's clear that where you are today, you have not gotten through like... You have not gotten there through like butterflies and happiness. You have gotten there through having to go through a pretty difficult power struggle. There are things that like still hang over you in that way, that you're like, you know, memories and situations that you look back at and still weigh on you, and still perhaps even like have that power to feel very cutting to you. You are asked at this time to rise above, to see who you are now, and ask yourself how you can show up for that person in a just and fair way, and show up for the world in a just and fair way now that you are out of it. The power struggle is in the past. Now you are asked to look objectively at your life and ask yourself what your next steps are that are fair to yourself and fair to the world and the people around you. Next up we have Grayson. Grayson says, card please. I'm shuffling. These cards are a little bigger than certain other decks, and so I'm like shuffling awkwardly. By the way, this tarot deck is the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Wisner, which I really like a whole lot. I bought it recently on a trip to Boston, and I've really fallen in love with it. Grayson, here is your card. No questions, so just a general card. We have the Revealer. This card is analogous to the High Priestess in many tarot decks, but this deck particularly tries not to have these very gendered archetypes, so it is the Revealer. So what we're looking at here is both this sense of questing for knowledge in a very practical way, in the way of like hitting the books, you know, as well as questing for knowledge in a very esoteric way, hitting your intuition, tuning into your higher self, tuning into anything you may believe in, tuning in indeed to things you're not sure you believe in. Just tuning in, just the act of tuning in is important right now, following your intuition and your inner wisdom. And it may be worth spending some time asking yourself what it feels like when you're in your intuition and when you're in your inner wisdom. At times, we have a hard time discerning what's my inner wisdom versus like what's anxiety. What's my inner wisdom versus like what is kind of an ingrained belief. So as you go through your day, check in on how you're feeling, check in on like what your gut is telling you to do, and then maybe review that at the end of the day, and it, with a clearer head, having gone through the day, ask yourself, all right, which of these things maybe was inner wisdom and which of these was just the stress of the moment? And maybe that will help you get like a better, deeper compass for tuning into your inner wisdom moment to moment, day by day. This is a practice, it's a journey, so it's something you're just meant to check in with at this time. Journaling might be a good way to keep up with it, or just like some regular scheduled observation. Maybe set a cell phone alarm a couple times a day if that's something that works for you. Check in with yourself, check in with your inner wisdom, and then regularly check in with those check-ins and see how it went. Savannah would like a card, please. Guidance or advice for August. Okay. Savannah, your card is the Apprentice of Coins. What an appropriate card for someone thinking about starting a business. The Apprentice of Coins is a brand new start. In a typical tarot deck, this would be called the Page of Coins. We choose the Apprentice here as our language, indicating that you are a student of this time. You are a student of your own stability. You have been planting seeds. You are just a seedling at this time, so you still need to tend to that seed. You need to tend to your own growth at this time, not just the growth of the new thing that you are nurturing, which I'm really excited about, but also your growth as a human being. Why is it right now that you decided to start this? What are your dreams and your goals and your hopes for it? And how do you hope to grow through doing this? Tend to your own growth, and you will naturally tend to the growth of the thing that you have planted. So look out for your growth. If there are areas where you need a teacher, say so out loud. You know, acknowledge to yourself, this is what I hope to learn and grow. I don't know how to find this yet. This is the resource I'm in need of. And trust that if you say that and tune in, as we were talking about, that you will find it. Okay, next up we have I ... I could be really wrong. About who you are, because your Discord thing just says I ... So that's what I'm pulling a card for. I know you're a patron, and I'm sorry for if I'm misidentifying you. Here is your card. Your card is the Champion of Wands. Look at this amazing bird carrying a bundle of herbs. The Champion of Wands here is like the Knight. Your goal at this time is to show up for what you're passionate about, show up for what you believe in. Remember, our card of the month was Justice. Now for you, justice has a very passionate pull. It's not just justice in the real world, it's justice in your life. But if one or the other isn't in alignment, everything feels wrong for you. So you need to show up passionately for justice. That doesn't mean you get it right every time. It doesn't mean you always have the perfect solution. It just means that you show up and you speak honestly and earnestly. You try to be there for what you believe in, because you're not going to feel whole unless you do. And this doesn't just mean justice in your life. It also means justice for you in terms of identifying what is the spark that drives me right now, what matters to me, what touches my heart, what lights me up inside. If you're not showing up for that in your life, you're living an unjust life. You're not giving yourself a full life. So it's important for you right now to show up for those passionate things, not perfectly. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to show up. You just have to do it. Brittany, I think you missed your card. I think you might be able to rewind on Facebook or YouTube. I'm not sure. And I don't know if I want to, I'm trying to remember what your card was actually, but I don't want to rehash it because I think the intuition of the moment is important. So I'm going to suggest you rewind to hear your card. Rewind. Is that a thing people still say? Or is that because I'm a kid who grew up with videos, with VHS tapes? Savannah says, how is Boston? I've always wanted to visit. Really cool. I was in a neighborhood called Coolidge Corners. I've been playing a concert there in the summer the last few years, and it's like a really special neighborhood. There's this really cool bookstore called Brookline Books, and it's an independent bookstore. They have a ton of great books, and they have this huge section of tarot cards and witchy books, and oh, it's great. It's a great spot. Be kind, rewind. Yes, exactly. Air sign energy this morning. Yes, 1,000,000%. By the way, I don't know if y'all are following me on Facebook, Sassafras Tarot on Facebook, but I just posted, in my opinion, a very important post full of representations of different signs, different astrological signs from the Barbie movie. Sun, moon, and rising signs. And you know what? I looked it up, and I'm, first of all, in love with my moon sign. I've got a Libra moon, so you can look at that and know what brought me a little bit of joy. But just go look and find yourself, because it might make you happy if you're obsessed with the Barbie movie, as I, in fact, am. Hi, Emmy. How are you? All right. I have got Neva and Ondine on deck, and then we'll get to whoever else, if there's anyone else on Instagram, and then we'll get over to everybody else. As always, if you would like me to pull a card for you, the secret code is to drop a cat in the chat or write the word meow. That way we do not get spammers, because when we say, pull a card for me, invariably some random internet spammer comes along and is like, oh my dear, DM me all your money and I will pull a card for you. No. I offer these freely. You're welcome to throw some love into the virtual tip jar. It's appreciated. It's never expected. However, that link is in my Instagram bio and scrolling across the bottom if you're everywhere else. But no, this is something I offer freely every month. If you ever get a spammer saying DM me, that's not me. I will never tell you to DM me for a reading because the spammers do it. I only do readings through my Etsy shop. I will never ask you to send money in that way. Okay. Neva, card for you. I want to scroll up and just see if you had a question. Scrolling. Okay, I just see many cats. Since I'm scrolling, Ondine is after Neva. All right, Neva, here's your card. This is your generalized card for August. What should your approach be? What should your vibe be? We have the 8 of Vessels. Okay, so I want to just show you this beautiful pot that has been put back together like a jigsaw puzzle. Obviously, this pot has been broken and it has been recovered. And this is about you and your own showing up for yourself, your health and your mental health and your recovery as you've gone through different things in your life. You have found the inner strength to put yourself together. And surely, like, you've done that with help from your family and community too, like people who really care about you, chosen family as well, you know, close friends. Now, you're back, right? You are a whole person. We all go through lives. We go through our lives with our mental health, especially, but physical health as well, going through these trials. And when people say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that's not necessarily true, right? Sometimes what doesn't kill you gives you trauma. And sometimes what doesn't kill you, like, actually makes you weaker for the next thing that might come along. I'm thinking about like getting a cold and then your immune system is weakened for the next thing, you know? Right after you have it. You have been through some stuff and there are parts of you that still feel like they're not fully recovered. And I want to just tell you that's normal and you're a whole human and you still get to have a beautiful life. And the way to find that wholeness is to accept yourself just as you are. The way to find that wholeness is to acknowledge, like, well, all of these things happen in the past. We don't get to change the past. We don't get to make it perfect. We don't get to have it be the way we wish it was. But there are a lot of blessings in your life because of the way the past really was. There are things that wouldn't have happened that are positive to you, that have come out of times of tumultuous nonsense in your life. And all you need to do now is recognize that you're a whole person right this minute and you deserve happiness right this minute. And you can you can rescue yourself by turning away from this desire to fix everything that had happened before and instead just let yourself live and experience a joyful life right now in the moment, right the way you are. You already deserve it right now. You don't have to fix anything. Trust that that is true. And if there are people in your life or forces in your life that are making you feel like you have to change yourself or fix yourself or edit yourself, I'm going to suggest that you can just wander away from them and tune into your own happiness, because your choices are what matters. Your voice is what matters, not everybody else's. Next up, we have a card for Ondine. A little more shuffling. By the way, everyone, if you missed the main card for the month, it is Justice. We are asked to be foot soldiers of justice right now. Hey, Justin, how are you? Long time no see. How you doing? I'm coming to Erie in a few weeks. I wonder if I'll get to see you. If you've tuned in recently, if you'd like a card, let me know. Our secret code is a cat. You put a cat emoji in the chat or write the word meow. That's how we do things here. Anyway, our card this month is Justice, so you're being asked to review your own sense of fairness. And you're being asked to try to act as an agent of fairness, big and small ways, right? We think globally, we act locally. Ondine, this card is for you. We also have for you the Eight of Vessels. This is interesting. Like we're getting this sense this month. We're getting a couple of repeat cards because we got a couple of Justices. We've had 2 Eight of Vessels now. As Ange said, there's big air sign energy today. The Eight of Vessels is a water sign, though. And this is about having been broken, having put yourself back together. Oh, here, Ondine got the same card of you, so I can tell you it's the Eight of Vessels. You may also, if you want to look this up online, look up the Eight of Cups, which is a more traditional name for it. Vessels, cups, samey, water. Ondine, this card is about being broken apart and putting yourself back together again. And importantly for you too, there's footsteps on the bottom of this card. You'll notice when people have the same card come up, they don't get exactly the same reading. And that's kind of where intuition comes in the tarot. Those of us who read the tarot study for a long time to understand the cards and their meanings, their different nuances, and also what we speak about when a card pulls up has to do with our intuition. It's both things. So we have these footsteps walking around the vessel, as you can see. You've been broken, you've been put back together. You've done that more than once in your life. And there are parts of you that still don't feel quite whole, but you're also functional, right? Like you're good to go, even if there are parts of you that still feel a little achy, that still feel like this isn't quite working. And you were able at this time to go seek those missing pieces or to go try to live just as you are. And I suggest when we talk about seeking what's missing in our life, we can be questing endlessly. We can endlessly be like, well, if I just had this one more thing, I'd be happy. So watch out for that. Seek out the way you need to feel. Seek out the things that make you feel whole, that make you feel like yourself. Don't think that external circumstances are going to fix things for you. Hey, Lisa Diana, I just want to let you know I pulled your card at the very, very beginning. You were the first one who requested. So this will get reposted. You can rewind and see your card. We had first the card for everybody, and then we had the card, you were second. So we had the card right after that for you. And actually, they were the same card, Justice and Justice. So rewind that because I don't want to give you a crappy interpretation of the of the card you already received. Anyway, to sum up, Ondine, do feel free to go seek out what is missing in your life. Don't assume that seeking out the next thing is going to bring you happiness and then get stuck in a cycle. We can do that. Like, oh, if I just have this, I'll be happy. Well, now I have it, but now I know that if I really just have this, I'll be happy. Seek the things that are going to make you feel like you, and recognize that that's a moving target, right? You're changing, you're an evolving person. So what makes you feel like you today might be something different than what makes you feel like you tomorrow, and that's okay. That means we're growing. That's healthy. But that is your goal. Things that make you feel like yourself, things that make you feel stable, things that make you feel cared about and important and like you matter. Seek those things out. All right, I know we have some more people to read for. Got a lot of viewers today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to let you all know, if you're a patron, we are going to be doing the live video for Sassafras Cast after this at 1 o'clock p.m. So I'm giving us a lunch break. 11 to 12, I'm pulling cards for everybody. And then at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, I'm in New York, we will be doing the live broadcast of Sassafras Cast. So patrons get to tune in for a live broadcast. Everybody else gets the replay. Sometimes there's a little bit of editing, often there's not. I try to do them as a broadcast basically to make my life easier so that I don't have to go crazy editing the podcast. And also, because it's really special to get, when patrons show up in the chat, often they have really cool contributions and ideas and questions that end up in the podcast. It makes it a better podcast than it would have been if I had just been doing it alone, 1,000 takes, staring at Pro Tools. So if you want to tune in for that, that is a patron benefit. You will find the link in the Discord, and you will find the link on Patreon at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And what I'm going to do with this episode of Sassafras Cast, just so you know, I have a podcast. It's called Sassafras Cast. For the rest of the year, I've decided I am going to kind of teach you how to read the tarot. I have resisted doing this for a long time. I'm a tarot reader. I have a witchy podcast, and everyone's like, is it a tarot podcast? And the answer is like, no, it's really like a witchy self-care podcast. But I have decided the time is nigh. I am going to share about the tarot. I'm going to give a series of lessons because it's not something that can be accomplished in one podcast. And I'm going to go through the major arcana today. So if you're interested in learning more about the cards, if you're interested in reading the cards, this is for you. If you're a patron, you'll get it today. Everyone else, it'll show up on your feed probably Monday if you follow Sassafras Cast. Okay. Savannah, I think I did get you already, Savannah. Now we have Judith. We got those great Kaylee emojis. Woman after my own heart. Let's pull a card for Judith. Judith, your card is the Defender. This is one of the reasons I love this deck. We do not have the Emperor and the Empress in this deck, which are kind of very gendered archetypes. And I think I've talked once or twice about how sometimes the Emperor to me just straight up represents patriarchy. And I have had it come up that way in readings. I've had the Emperor represent like forces of sexism and misogyny in our society in readings. Now at times the Emperor also means leading into your authority. This deck bypasses all this because it chooses instead to focus on the archetype without like the gendered nonsense. The Defender. We have this beautiful, beautiful gem floating in the sky, and this represents our truth, not just objective truth, but our inner truth, the things that we know to be true, the things that we know to be meaningful. It is crowned. There is this crown around it, which also kind of acts as a shield, and it is huge. It is standing above all else. And Judith, for you, this represents you allowing yourself to find your inner authority and truth and holding that above all else. That doesn't mean thinking you're better than everyone. It does mean acknowledging that you have had experiences and done a lot of thinking and come to conclusions about yourself and the world that you hold very dear. And it is worth showing up for those things. It is worth showing up for your truth. It is worth honoring your truth above the truth of others who just come in with their friggin' noise and opinions. You know what I mean? Show up for your truth at this time. Defend it with everything you have. And if you find that you are constantly having to defend it, that may be that may show you a different truth about like some of the energy you're giving to people who are giving you very different energy back. You know, that might give you an opportunity to decide where to put your energy. But this is not about backing down. This is not about choosing your battles. This is about showing up strong for what you believe in. Because when you believe in something with all of your heart, it's kind of the only thing you can do. So this is about giving yourself permission to do that, to live your truth big and bold. Ooh, Sassafras, level up. Hey, Mary Jane, you are not too late. All right, I'm doing a little bit of shuffling. I'm going to see who else I have on deck, and then I'll get to you, Mary Jane. Don't worry, you're good. Thank you for tuning in. All right, let's see. Who do I have after Judith? I have Ange, and then I have Chaka. Celia, do you want a card? Let me know, because I don't see a cat from you. Let me know. So I have Ange, Chaka, Liz Blankenship. Is there anyone else that I have missed who is still in the queue? And then you, Mary Jane. And we do have time for all of those humans. Meowie, thank you. You're very welcome. All right. Shuffling for Anne. If you're tuned in and you haven't asked for a card, we do still have time. You can put a cat in the chat or write the word meow. and that is our secret code, and I will know. If you want a bigger full reading with me at any point, anyone, that is available through my Etsy shop and only through my Etsy shop. If anyone spams you and says, DM me for a reading, it's not me, even if they've made a profile looking like me, which happened to me last month. That was fun. If anyone spams you in that way, know that it's not me. That is never, first of all, I will never solicit a reading from you. You come to me. I don't go around like a traveling salesman about tarot readings. My Etsy shop is the only place to get a full reading from me. Etsy.com/shop/Sassafras Tarot, or just search for Sassafras Tarot on Etsy. And you pay through Etsy, and the reason I do that is because, like, Etsy is a secure site. You know you're really giving your money to me instead of some creepy scammer, because there's a lot of tarot scammers on the internet. You are welcome to order a full reading. I am open for readings at this time. And if you're interested in learning to read for yourself, my next podcast is going to be on that topic. All right, Ange, this card is for you. We have the Champion of Coins. So at this time, you are asked to do your questing around the topic of your own stability. Financially, yes, but also we're taking a deeper view of stability. It's not just about how much money we have in the bank, right? For sure. Having, like, in our capitalist society, for sure, money does have a lot to do with our stability, right? Like, when we don't have it, we have a problem because we still need to put food on the table, keep the lights on, have a roof over our head. But it is not the only factor. Another factor in our stability is our core relationships, our family and our chosen family, our community, as well as our time and energy, how we choose to manage our energy and our time, how we refill our cups, so that we can give of ourselves freely. And by freely, I mean when we show up and give our energy to something, we're doing it with an open heart because we don't feel depleted. I don't mean we're overgiving. I mean that we are managing our energy so that when we have things in our life that we care about, that we want to give our energy to, we have it. We have it there. That is what you're being asked to look at. Consider yourself a student of these things at this time. You are, honestly, you've made a lot of positive changes in your life recently, especially about your mental health and your own recovery from different things in your life. And it's time now for you to look at what, like, the care and feeding of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, look at what it takes to really show up for yourself in terms of giving yourself that very baseline stability, giving yourself that sense of, like, yes, I have the energy for the things that really matter to me. And yes, I feel stable and secure enough to kind of go about my day and live passionately and live a good life. You're asked to look right at that stability because you've made enough changes now that some of your day-to-day life may be thrown out of whack. Sometimes we have to make our life chaotic in order to later have a better life, right? We have to make decisions that throw everything out of whack so that we can live our truths better, so that we can show up for ourselves better. You have done a few of those things, and now it is the time to say, okay, how can I set up my life with this new situation I've given myself so that it is deeply replenishing for me, so I have the energy I need when I need it, so that I show up for what's meaningful for me and don't give a lot of time and energy to things that are like that suck my energy away, that are stressors, that deplete me. And as well, like I said, like, money is a piece of this, and like taking care of your body is a piece of this. All of those baseline things that make you feel like the healthiest version of you, it's time to just look at those honestly and do your best to figure out what's next. And consider this to be like a trial and error experience. You don't have to get it right on the first time. All you have to do is show up for it and try things out and see what works. Chaka, next card is for you. And it says, I am the poor burb in the coin. Wealth in recent months with the new sense of community I've found after expelling some demons. I love that. I really love that. Like, wealth in community. Like, I feel that as well. Like, a lot of the things that make me feel grateful, that make me feel wealthy and privileged, is my community. It's being in an arts community and being surrounded by people who have values that I have, and us showing up and supporting each other. That is a real form of wealth. Making space for myself has brought joy. Fucking love that too. Any man will do. 1,000,000 times better Rory impersonator than tarot scammer. Yes, Accurate. Annie Mann will do the premier Rory Kelly impersonator on Long Island, and indeed in the world, because she is also the only person who has ever bothered to impersonate me. All right, Chaka, this card is for you. Again, we have Justice. I'm going to show you this card. This card, I'll just reshare for everybody that this is our card. Collectively, the group for the month, we are asked to look at justice and fairness, what those things mean in our lives. We are asked to show up for them. Chaka, in particular, there's this line here of light and dark. And I want you to think about justice in a both dual and non-binary form, meaning it's not black and white, like there's this is right and this is wrong and that's it. I think there are probably some things that we do feel that way about, like appropriately. You know what I mean? Like, I think most of us are like, yeah, you know what, like murder is pretty wrong. Bigotry is pretty wrong. You know what I mean? It's appropriate to feel black and white about some things and really draw a firm line. There are other things in life where we can get real enrichment and understanding when we tune in both to the dark and the light side. So we're talking about shadow work. We're talking about parts of ourselves that we may have rejected or put aside because in the past we were made to feel like they weren't socially acceptable. And that's important because socially acceptable is not the same thing as not moral, right? So we're asking ourselves to reconsider our own morality, to look at the light and the dark, and ask ourselves what feels just and fair to us. What is it like for us to live our lives in a just and fair way? Both to other people, I'm being kind to the world around me, I'm being kind to those I come into contact with, and to ourselves, I'm being kind to myself. I'm allowing myself to thrive and live in the way that myself is meant to, rather than putting harsh restrictions upon myself that do not serve me. So I'm asking you specifically to look at that duality in the coming months. Look at the light side and the dark side of justice, and know that this is not about like having like big, like clear, this is all right, this is all wrong. Like, I think most of us already have those parts of our morality, the things that are clearly like, yes, this is important to do, this is important not to do. This is about really getting that fine-tuned nuance of justice, of what it looks like to live a just life as exactly you. All right. We have Liz Blankenship on deck. Celia, if you're still tuned in, let me know if you want a card. I will card you up. Here for this stuff I'm working on ongoingly. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, I feel that. I feel it and I see it, to be honest with you. You're someone that I see like actively working through your assessment of what is truth and what is important. And I don't know if you know it, but I do think that it is a gift to the world when we share those experiences as we're putting things in our life under review and going through them. It gives other people permission to do the same, and it also allows us to think about things in a deeper way than we have in the past. It helps us on our own journey. So thank you for doing that. Okay, Liz, pulling a card for you. Up next, we have Mary Jane. Liz, your card is the Four of Swords. You need to take a break from some of the things that feel like they may be hanging over your head. I will say that I know that that can be hard, right? The Four of Swords is always a card of rest. It is a card of respite. It is a card of giving yourself a timeout in a positive way. Twitch just froze. Okay, if you're tuned in, well, I don't know if you can hear me if you're tuned in on Twitch, but please know, wherever you're tuned in, if you have a problem with the stream, I'm always streaming in 4 different places. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If one of them's not working, probably the other one is. Facebook seems to be working well right now, so now you know. Okay, back to you, Liz. Liz, you were asked to give yourself a timeout, and this is like a loving timeout. This is the kind of timeout where you're like, I'm giving myself an opportunity to take a break and take care of myself, because otherwise things will snowball and I will just get depleted. You may have responsibilities and things kind of hanging over your head that you feel like, but how can I take a break? And the truth is, If those things are truly important to you, it's more important than ever to take a break because you want to show up as your best self, not as your depleted self. So I want to ask you to create opportunities to take breaks, to create opportunities to rest. Rest is the answer right now. Downtime is the answer. This can look like literal sleep. It can also look like rest in terms of like having times in your day, every day, that you don't have to be productive, that are not about you being perfect and you meeting someone else's expectation, that are just for you, that are just for you to be kind to yourself. That is very, very needed right now. And if you have people in your life who are expecting you to do anything else, who are expecting you to be on all the time, that's a toxic expectation. Maybe they're not doing it on purpose, but that doesn't mean it's okay of them to expect that of you. So it's important for you to draw your own boundaries and say, I deserve rest, I deserve downtime, I deserve care, and give yourself that. There's no argument here. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think. This is a you and you conversation. You give yourself that rest and downtime before you even engage with the rest of the world. Mary Jane, I will be pulling a card for you. That is our last card of the moment. If anyone has been tuned in and would like a card, I do have time for one or two more. Otherwise, I'll give you a little sneak preview about what I'll be talking about on the next podcast. Mary Jane, here is your card. We have the Keeper of Wands. This is very much about ascending to a certain level of finding joy and meaning in what you are passionate about, believing in your own vision, and showing up for it with like open eyes and a clear heart. So at this time, it serves you to lean into what matters to you. It serves you to lean into what you are passionate about. Definitely artistic endeavors are favored here, but this is also true. Like this card, Wands in particular, fire, can also come up in career meanings when you are making decisions around your work and your career that have to do with your passionate beliefs and what's important to you. For some people, their career is their passion, right? For other people, they have a passion in addition to their career, or they have multiple careers, right? The important thing I need you to take away from this is that right now, what you believe passionately in, what is deeply, deeply important to you and your heart and like lights a fire in your soul, that is where you want to put your time and energy, and you want to do so without shame, and you want to do so without judgment, and you want to do so without hesitation. And know that the more you show up for what you deeply believe in, the more you show up for what you feel deeply passionate about, the more you will shine and everyone else will be drawn to you and your vision. This is because when we show up like that, when we're like, wow, this is so important to me that I just have to do what I can and dedicate myself to this cause, whether it's making art, whether it is speaking up for what you believe in, whether it is beginning to make moves and connections that you believe will help you better the world. When you have a vision like that, other people can sense that you have a vision. They can sense that purity because it's not self-serving. It's bigger than you. And when you have a vision like that, it's, what's the word? It's contagious in the best possible way. You know, when you have a vision and you're like, this is it, this is what matters, this is what's important, this is the higher purpose I am serving. Other people see it and they get on board and they get excited. So the more you lean into your vision and trust it, the further you will go at this time. Ange says, we got many justice cards today as a group. Can we have a follow-up card on it and elaboration? Absolutely. I love that question. For starters, let me find justice in the deck and pull it up for us all to look at. And I'm going to ask you to do an exercise I often do with my tarot students. So, like I said, I'm going to spend the rest of the year on Sassafrascast teaching y'all to read the tarot. I'm going to go through the deck, and I'm also going to be going through some techniques. I'll do this throughout, you know, the next 4 or 5 episodes. Some techniques to look at the cards with different perspectives and to know which aspect of which card to bring attention to in a reading. And I'm going to do something that I often do when I'm reading one-on-one for a client. I'm going to ask you to look at the imagery of the card and tell you what jumps out at you. You know, pick the one thing or a couple of things that really seem meaningful to you and just speak about it as you see it. Because I think that's going to give us all a deeper interpretation of justice and where we need to be at right now. Gosh, where are you, Justice? I'm looking. came up so many times organically, and now it doesn't want to be found. Justice. I will pull a clarifying card on this. First, however, I want everyone to take a look at this card. I want to make sure there's a good view of it on both screens. Okay. I want you to look at this card. I'm going to hold it up for another couple minutes. And I want you to just say or type what jumps out at you. If there's a particular image on this card that speaks to you or that moves you or that makes you feel confused, just talk about it. And if you're not sure how to talk about it, if you're not sure what it means, just start describing it and ask yourself if that is triggering anything for you, and just keep talking about it. This is a stream of consciousness exercise, and this is a good way to interpret a card when you have no idea what it means. So if you're a new tarot reader and you get stuck, if you are looking at a reading and you're like, I don't understand this card in context, I know what it means, but it doesn't make sense in this reading, this is a great way to go. Like, to look at it and look at what jumps out at you and just start describing it and see what happens with your words. So I'm going to ask you, go ahead and type as you look at Justice, what jumps out at you, describe what jumps out at you, and describe any thoughts or feelings that come up as you look at it. I wish I could just leave Justice hanging there while I shuffle. But you've gotten to see it for a while. Feel free to do a freeze frame, and I will be shuffling and pulling a clarifying card. This is for all of us. This is for all of us, and the clarifier is gonna be, what approach can we have in the coming month to show up for justice in our lives? In our lives and in our community, both directions, right? Inner and outer justice. That is going to be my clarifying card. Okay, I have a clarifier, but I'm going to first read other people's interpretations of justice. Hey, Celia. Everybody, please go follow Celia Werner, Celia_Werner on Instagram. She has, especially if I know a lot of us are like on social media sharing something about ourselves, whether it's art or a new business. Celia is a professional content creator and has a lot of really great tips for that. She is a light to follow, and she also showcases a lot of cool art and poetry. I believe Shelby King was just on her broadcast, so please go follow her, Celia_Werner. All right, now let's talk about justice. Savannah says it reminds me of an hourglass. Also, I noticed the constellation. So that's really interesting. Savannah said there's no hourglass on the card, but there's something about it that reminds her of an hourglass, which makes me think that maybe for you, Savannah, justice is tied to the idea of time, and how you measure time and how you use and honor that time. So that's something maybe personal for you to think about. Also notice the constellation. What do constellations mean for you? Constellations are just things that we make up, right? We look at the stars and we're like, it's that shape, right? What does this constellation look like for you? What does it look like to you to assign meaning based on what you're seeing, even if you don't have all the information, just because it helps you, right? Ginger Dawn Studio says the sword jumps out at me, and I think it represents strength to me, and also that I might need to defend myself against something. So that's really powerful. And part of working for justice is defending yourself against injustice, right? And defending others against injustice. It means showing up, being a sword and shield against injustice so that we can have peace. And more than just peace, so that we can have equity and fairness. So that is interesting. Ange says, the moon card has been following me, and the duality of the moon has been calling. That's interesting, because I do feel like there's, in this particular card, in this particular deck, I see similarities with the moon. We have the two pillars, we have a literal moon, so that's interesting. The moon card has been following me, the duality of the moon has been calling. Am I trying to integrate my two sides more harmoniously? I believe this is where my journey has been taking me. Balance has been the goal. That's really cool. So I want to share, like, the interpretations that came out of these different symbols are different for all of us, and they should be, right? When you're a tarot reader, I'll be talking more about this on my podcast for the whole rest of the year. I'm just talking about how to read the tarot for yourself and others, like for healing and personal growth, and to help you through life's nonsense. The same card can come up in different ways for different people and in different moments and in different contexts, right? And doing this exercise of like, well, what jumps out at me today? What's important can help you give yourself context that a meaning in a book can't give you, right? It can help you connect the dots between your own intuition and the definition of the card. Now, here is our clarifier, because Angie asked for a clarifier. I think it's useful to all of us, because justice is one of those broad topics. Like, yeah, okay, I'll serve justice. That's kind of a big ask. Our clarifier is the wheel. And so the wheel really represents chance. As you can see, we have dice. We also have the threads of fate. We have this wheel indicating like the steering wheel on a ship, but nobody's at the helm. It's just kind of going where it's going. And we also have the elements here around. We have the symbols of the elements here around the wheel. So the Wheel of Fortune, as it is called in many decks, really represents chance. It represents things that happen to us, not just the way we happen to the world. It's really about like anything can happen in the most positive sense. We've all gone through, from 2020 and the next couple of years, we've all gone through a tower moment, which is anything can happen in the most negative sense. It's like, oh, I didn't have wildfire haze in the middle of New York City on my bingo card. Did you? You know, it's like that kind of anything can happen terrifying vibe. The Wheel of Fortune is anything can happen hopeful vibe, you know? With the tower, it's like anything could happen. I could spontaneously combust, harm aliens, anything. And with the Wheel of Fortune, it's like anything could happen. I could win the lottery. You know, I could get selected or get recommended for something I never even thought to apply for. You know, like the Wheel of Fortune really is reminding us that as much as anything can happen, it can be awful. Also, anything can happen and it can be positive. And when I connect this card to justice, what I want to share with you is that justice is a moving target depending on what's going on and depending on the context, right? It's not this black and white playbook of like, always do this and never do this. That's not how life works. Life is messy. A lot of things come up, and then you have to think about what justice means in that particular new situation that you're in. What seemed fair a month ago in a different situation might now not be the right answer. So this is contextual. And you're being asked as you move through life, as life throws different things at you, including really good things. You're being asked to ask yourself as you move through those experiences how you can show up for fairness for yourself and for others. How you can show up for what you believe is right as your life changes, as things occur in your life that like weren't there next week, as you adapt to life's changes. Often I think we're just kind of like, we're just swimming along, you know, and like things show up and we're like, oh God, now this, okay, now I have to get used to this, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of getting used to, and what justice is asking you to do is do one better than getting used to new things. It's asking you to question, it's asking you to ask yourself, now that this circumstance has changed, how can I be my best self in this world? How can I show up better for me? How can I show up better for everyone else? So keep asking yourself that question, because it's a moving target. The context will change day to day, so the correct action for you and your heart will change day to day. Okay? Okay. Thank you all so much for tuning in. That brings us to the end of the Witchy Weather Report. If you have enjoyed this, you can always get a full tarot reading from me from my Etsy shop. That's at the link in my bio and Instagram. You can also visit etsy.com/shop/sassafras tarot. Everywhere except for Instagram, I do have my link scrolling across the bottom of the screen, so you can even pause if you need to and see a link. If you want to throw some love in the virtual tip jar, it's always appreciated. It's never expected. It's Venmo at Rory Kelly or PayPal at Rory Kelly. Or if you go to the link in my PayPal, in my bio on Instagram, it's just like there's a link right there. That's really easy. Like I said, always appreciated, never expected. Those of you who have been kind and generous, either by being a patron or by throwing some love in the virtual tip jar, I'm really grateful for you, and I thank you for supporting this. I love that I get to do this. I love this community that we have, and I'm really grateful for you showing your love in that way. Finally, Sassafras Cast is my podcast. For the next rest of 2023, I will be teaching how to read the tarot for yourself and others, how to use the tarot as a tool to help you move through difficult times in your life. I will be, if you have never read the tarot before, yes, this will take you through all the basics. If you have read the tarot before, though, I'm going to add some perspective on this about how to use these cards and these ideas for your own growth and for your own self-care. So I'm trying to make it accessible both to experienced people and to beginners. So Sassafras Cast is the name of that podcast. The first Teaching Tarot episode of Sassafras Cast will come out for everyone on Monday, but if you're a patron, tune in about 1 hour, 1 o'clock p.m. We'll be going live with the Major Arcana. All right, you're all wonderful. I'll see you later. Take good care.